He glanced at his watch, the boarding gate was closing fast. But then he saw her, a frail old woman struggling with her bags. Something in him said stop, even if it meant missing everything. He helped her without question, not knowing who she really was. Minutes later, the flight was gone, but so was his old life. James sprinted through the crowded terminal, heart pounding and eyes locked on the departure screen. His gate was closing in 5 minutes. He couldn't miss this flight, it was his final interview for a dream job overseas. As he rounded a corner, he saw her, an elderly woman struggling to carry 2 overstuffed bags. People passed without a glance. James hesitated. Every second counted. But something in him stopped. He walked over. "Let me help you," he said gently. Her hands trembled as she smiled. "Thank you, dear. I didn't think anyone would." He carried her bags to a nearby bench, offered her water, and called for airport assistance. By the time she was settled, his flight had departed. James sighed, disappointment washing over him. But when he turned to say goodbye, she reached for his hand. "You gave up something important for a stranger," she said, her voice warm. "What were you rushing for?" He explained everything. The interview, the lost opportunity, the fear that he'd thrown it all away. She chuckled softly. "Well then, allow me to make a call." What James didn't know was that the woman he helped was Eleanor Hartley, founder and CEO of the very airline he was flying. And more than that, she owned the company he was set to interview with. 2 days later, James received a call. Not only was his interview rescheduled, it was moved directly to the executive board. And waiting there to greet him was the woman in the airport, smiling knowingly. That day, James learned something more valuable than any job: sometimes, choosing kindness is the fastest way to change your life forever. The airport buzzed with the usual chaos, announcements echoing, suitcases rolling, and people rushing. Among them was Daniel, late for a crucial business flight that could land him a major promotion. As he weaved through the crowd, he noticed an elderly woman struggling with her walker and a dropped scarf. Most walked by. He almost did too. But then, something tugged at him. He paused, turned back, and picked up the scarf. "Need some help?" he asked. The woman looked up, eyes soft behind thick glasses. "Thank you, young man. These legs don't work like they used to." Daniel missed his final boarding call, helping her to a quiet corner, flagging down a staff member, and making sure she was okay. When he checked the screen again, his flight was gone. He sighed. That promotion was probably gone too. "Why'd you stop for me?" she asked. "I couldn't leave you like that," he replied. "Some things matter more." She smiled, amused. "Most wouldn't say that, but I like you." 2 days later, Daniel received a call from an unknown number. The woman on the line introduced herself as Margaret Langston, founder of the airline and one of the wealthiest women in the country. She revealed she'd been traveling incognito to evaluate staff and customer behavior, not expecting to find something so rare: genuine kindness. "I own the firm you were flying to meet," she said. "I've already spoken to the board. Your promotion's not only back on the table, it's guaranteed." Stunned, Daniel realized that by pausing for a stranger, he'd uncovered something most people search for endlessly: a hidden fortune, not just in wealth, but in fate. Ryan checked his watch anxiously. The final boarding call echoed through the airport. If he missed this flight, he'd miss the most important pitch of his career. He tightened his grip on his briefcase and picked up his pace. Then, he saw her, an elderly woman hunched over, trying to lift her suitcase onto a bench. No one seemed to notice. Ryan hesitated. The gate was just ahead. But his feet moved toward her instead. "Ma'am, let me help you," he said, gently lifting the bag. She looked up with tired eyes. "Thank you, son. Everyone's too busy these days." He helped her sit, got her some water, and flagged a passing staff member to assist her further. By the time he turned back toward the gate, the doors had closed. His heart sank. Later, as he sat at a nearby cafe, wrestling with disappointment, the same woman approached with a surprising smile. "You gave up your flight for someone you didn't know." That says more than any resume. He gave a modest smile. It just felt like the right thing. She extended her hand. I'm Evelyn Grant. I started the airline you were flying with. And I'm also a silent partner in Langford Consulting, the firm you were meeting. Ryan froze, blinking in disbelief. I've already called them. They're rescheduling, and this time, you'll be meeting the board. A week later, Ryan walked into the boardroom, welcomed not just as a candidate, but as someone they already admired. In that fleeting moment of compassion, he had unknowingly turned a delay into a destiny. Because sometimes, doing the right thing doesn't just cost you time, it buys you a future you never imagined. Ethan had flown dozens of times, but this trip felt different. A big client meeting in New York awaited him, and everything had to go perfectly. As he boarded, he noticed something strange. The seat next to his was unassigned. Just seat unknown. The plane filled. Still, no one came. He settled in, grateful for the extra space. Moments before takeoff, though, an elderly woman appeared, escorted by a flight attendant. "This is your seat, ma'am," the attendant said, helping her into the empty spot. She smiled at Ethan. "Hope I'm not crowding you." "Not at all," he replied. As the flight took off, they chatted. She asked about his work, his dreams, and even his fears. Ethan found himself opening up in a way he hadn't in years. She listened with a warmth that made him feel seen and somehow understood. Midway through the flight, she dozed off. When they landed, she was quietly escorted away before Ethan could say goodbye. At the hotel, he got a call from an unknown number. "Mr. Lane?" a woman asked. "Ms. Vera Hartley asked us to reach out. She's the founder of Hartley Holdings, the company you're pitching to tomorrow." Ethan's heart skipped. "I don't understand." She said she met a man on a plane. One who listened, who spoke with heart. "She wants you to bypass the panel and present directly to her." Ethan stood in silence, stunned. The mysterious seat unknown wasn't a glitch. It was fate. The woman had vanished from the flight, but left behind an opportunity greater than he'd imagined, and a reminder: you never know who's sitting beside you, or how a single conversation can change everything. Maya rushed through the terminal, heart pounding. Her first international speaking event was just hours away, and this flight was her only chance to make it. She weaved through the crowd, clutching her laptop bag, when she saw her. An elderly woman stood near the gate, looking lost and overwhelmed, her cane slipping from her grip. People passed by without a glance. Maya hesitated. Every instinct screamed to keep running, but something deeper urged her to stop. "Are you okay?" Maya asked gently, steadying the woman's arm. The woman nodded weakly. I think I lost my way. This place is so big." Maya guided her to a bench, helped locate her gate, and flagged down a staff member to escort her. By the time it was all sorted, her own flight had taken off. She sat alone, disappointed and unsure. That's when the woman returned, this time walking tall with the help of her assistant. "You chose kindness over convenience," the woman said softly. "Most don't." Maya smiled faintly. "I just did what felt right." The woman extended a hand. "My name is Evelyn Blake. I own Skynova Airlines, and I happen to sponsor the very conference you're attending." Maya blinked. "Wait, what?" "I've already arranged a private flight," Evelyn added with a wink. Helping hands often come with hidden wings. By morning, Maya arrived at the venue not as a latecomer, but as a special guest, personally introduced by the woman she'd helped. That day, Maya learned that the true reward of compassion isn't always visible at first. But sometimes, when you extend your hand, fate returns the gesture and lifts you higher than you ever expected. The terminal was packed, tension humming in the air. Liam checked his phone, final boarding call. If he missed this flight, he'd miss his one shot at pitching to a major investor. He picked up his pace until he noticed her. An elderly woman stood off to the side, struggling to lift her suitcase. No one stopped. Liam hesitated, the gate just steps away. Then he turned back. Need a hand? He asked. The woman looked up, surprised. I'd be grateful, dear. He carried her bag, found her gate, and made sure a staff member would guide her from there. By the time he returned to his own gate, the door had shut. Flight missed. Opportunity gone. Or so he thought. Later that evening, Liam received an unexpected call. Mr. Hayes? This is Olivia Brandt. I believe we met today, though you didn't know who I was. Liam froze. Olivia Brandt, the aviation mogul, founder of SkyDominion Airlines, and coincidentally, the lead investor he was meant to meet. I was traveling incognito, she said. Watching how people treat strangers. You chose kindness over ambition. That told me everything I needed to know. His breath caught. I'd like to meet, she continued. Not for a pitch, but for a partnership. Liam smiled, stunned. A missed flight had become a flight of fate. He had simply followed his heart, not knowing that the woman he helped didn't just fly the skies, she owned them. And in choosing compassion over convenience, Liam found a future beyond anything he could have scheduled.